Looking to know if the sound quality is okay. No problem. All right, good morning, everybody. Give me 1 second, get our streaming going this morning. All right, so we're looking at, we're here for 2 reports. Existing homes is at 10 o'clock, and then at 9:45, there's a different report, Flash Manufacturing Services. My name is Lee Goldstein. I'm the Trading Director at 10 Minute Trades. Welcome everybody to the trade room. Remember that all the trades we discuss are for educational purposes, and it is possible to lose money trading futures, so trade carefully, please. Now, one of the big issues this morning is you've got a very big gold trend, a very big gold trend, $22 roughly. That can make it tricky to trade, especially the 9:45 report, because that report is very close to the open. And it's also a report that we don't have a daily market mover for. It's a smaller report as a general rule than the major reports that we like to trade. It has been behaving, so I like to watch it. It's a report I've been watching over the years. We've never really traded it consistently, but I think you know the deal. I like to watch various reports depending on how they're behaving, even if they're not necessarily authorized reports. And authorized just means it has a daily market mover report. When we have a daily report, I call that an authorized trade. Now, there are some reports that don't have a DMM that I think should, and we just don't for whatever reason. There are some reports that really behave well, or maybe they're an old report and they're starting to behave well again. What comes to mind is Canada CPI. That report's looking like it has a lot of life again. So this particular report, Flash Manufacturing, I think in July, this is July, looked like it worked. So it's a 9:45 trade. Small setup, targets of 7, actually a little bigger than I thought, 7 and 15 on the targets. I'm sorry, that was a test of the NQ. NQ this time of day wouldn't do it. I would not trade it, not at 9:45. Gold is on the left, and gold had a bracket of 6, it looks like. And the news was mixed. In other words, the services data was negative, the manufacturing was positive, the NQ stopped out in an instant, it didn't work. Gold did work even though there was mixed news. So unfortunately, mixed news doesn't really give you a test because you don't know why the market is responding, but it looked like a totally perfectly normal news trade, the way that gold moved. I mean, that is what a normal, typical news trade is supposed to look like. Normally, it would do that when the data is matching, meaning services and manufacturing are either both positive or either both negative. So in this case, the most recent month, they were matching. and they were mixed, I mean, and the positive numbers, 63.1 versus 62, good, decent offset, and the services had a stronger offset. They were 59 versus 64. I just find it hard to believe that services would drive the report more than manufacturing. I think manufacturing is more important. Then there was a trade in June. And June, again, had mixed results. The services were negative. The manufacturing was positive. And you could see pretty slow response to the report. Pretty minimal impact. Very muted. Then it sort of finds its legs after about 35, 40 seconds. And that morning was the opposite of the previous month. The previous month, gold was down and the price went up. This month, gold was fairly big up in June, and the price also went up. So you don't have the most consistent reaction, but you cannot tell if you have a consistent reaction when the news is mixed. This is a report where you really do want to see agreeable results, because it's a small report to begin with, and you're not really getting a great test when it has mixed results. And you could see it's, you know, it hit the first target and then it's quite muted. So I was shrinking, and just decided to get out. Probably I wouldn't be surprised if new home sales was that day also. Let's see, 723. No, it wasn't, but existing homes, I mean. But a muted report that hit the targets, though. So is this a ready for prime time report? I'm not sure. Let's look at May. So in May, so you had one report, July, that didn't look bad, but you had mixed data. June, it was slow, but it sort of worked. Mixed data again. And then May, you finally have agreeable news, and it looks like an excellent little news trade. Okay. So if you watch May, but you had a small gold trend, a pretty small gold trend. So, you know, what's going for the report is that it's behaving over the past 3 months. It has been behaving. Now, again, it's an unauthorized report, and you have a very volatile gold market today, because the markets have been down for days, and now you're getting a bounce back. And what's interesting is, once again, gold is moving in the direction we hadn't expected, but this year gold is trading totally differently. But gold is moving to the upside with the markets. And you have you're going to have extra volatility this morning because of the bounce back. So, I mean, the real reason we're here is to look at the existing homes report. That's the 10 o'clock report. But again, I like to watch these. Sometimes these small reports become really good reports to trade. Today, I think risk is extremely high. Look at the market. It's just pushing, pushing, pushing. There's a very strong possibility that you'll just get a gold move that will have no relationship to the trade or to the news that comes out. So we certainly have to wait. I certainly wouldn't trade full-size gold. I wouldn't risk, $230 on a marginal report that does not have a history of consistency in a long time, other than couple of recent trades. Normally, it doesn't take me more than a couple of reports to be willing to trade. But we're doing things quite differently these days. Really trying to trade the highest quality of the highest quality. So I think it's prudent on this particular report probably to test, and existing homes we'll talk about in a few minutes. Now, what I would expect, here's what's going to probably happen to the market. The market's going to get very volatile at 9:30 at the open, and then I would anticipate that it would calm down as you get to around 9:40. It certainly could be tradable if it calms down, but you do have a very big trend also. So when you have a trend like this, we talked, I don't know if you came to the webinar Friday, but we talked about the squeeze play. When you have a trend this large, you can look for the news to be good and a trade in the long direction because of the trend of gold using the squeeze play. It's one possibility, one possible way you could trade this particular report. I wouldn't necessarily be looking to do that today because the manner in which this report's been trading, the breakout's been working for 3 months. So you got to lean towards the breakout being a viable trade. So what I might do is just trade one contract on micro gold or mini gold to see if the report works live. We haven't traded it live in ages. Now there's your open. The market's opening. So if I were going to set up a breakout trade for this, so my breakout setup, and I'm using the junior gold MGC. Like I said, not willing to risk $250 on this report when it's untested. So you have a bracket. I would use a bracket of 7 because of the time of day. Could be a pretty volatile time of day. And I'd leave my first target at 5, my second target at 12. So you have one position at 5 ticks, one position at 12 ticks. Stop at 11. And the entry time, $9:44.59. And let's take a quick look and see how the news responded. Our entry times on these were 9:45. Let's see quickly if, so you could see the news, it was out in July. No, we did a little bit earlier. I think 59 is probably okay. And then in May, hang on, grab the right video. June, sorry. This is June. And the orders were on the chart at 59. And the move is right there. Seems like this particular news comes out on time. So I would use an entry of 9:44.59. And I would label it. So two little contracts, 3 trades that worked in a row. So we'll see. Whoops. See if we can get anything going on. Let me double check the time. If gold looks safe to trade, then I'll give it a shot. A small, using mini gold. There we go. So one more time, using a bracket of 7 because of its nearness to the open. One position for 5 ticks, one position for 12 ticks, a stop of 11. And let me put it in the right account so I don't screw up our regular account. Not allowed to trade this in the family money account. And let me re-enter that just to be safe. So one more time. Using a bracket of 7, one target of 5, one target of 12. So position size 1 is a 5, position size 2 is at 12, target 2 is 12. Stop. I note say 11 ticks, and then the entry time is 9:44.59. It's a breakout trade. Label it. And there we go. Let's see what happens. Now, okay. Now, last night we got up, my boss and I got up in the middle of the night at 3:15, and we tested the French flash manufacturing PMI, and we tested the German manufacturing PMI. And he traded the German and made the exact same amount of money that I made testing it. He traded it live. It was a decent offset on the German. The French report was canceled. It was mixed news and virtually no response. And the German report was very small, able to get out with a small profit. But if those reports were at a good time of the day, I believe they're on the verge of being called family money trades. They've been trading so well. But we don't trade them live. We're just going on analysis and testing. But the analysis and testing on those reports is very, very strong. French and Germany. It's just very difficult to get up on a regular basis at 3 in the morning. It's almost impossible. And then have a normal day of trading and tech support. And let's check our time sync. So I want to thank everybody for watching on YouTube. If you'd be kind enough to give us a couple of likes, that would be nice. Sign up for the channel, hit the notification bell so you know the next time we're streaming. We'll be streaming tomorrow. We stream almost every day. So I'm going to check our time sync. We want our computer to be in sync by going to the website time.is. That's how we check our time sync. So this is an unusual time for a trade, 9:45. Never figure out who decides this stuff. What government agency decides, oh, let's do a trade at 9:45. I don't know how they decide that that's what they're going to do. So I hope everybody had a good weekend. The weekends go way too fast. Way too fast. And you can see the market. I mean, you definitely have gold volatility, but at least it's not marching in the same direction that it was moving before. 15 minutes ago, gold was on a march, right? It was just on a march. It started marching at 8:45, maybe even earlier. Look at that. I mean, gold just really making quite a big move this morning. So one more time. So to put your computer in sync, we just go to the website time.is. That's it. Time.is, and it puts my computer in sync. We have tools that if that website does not get you in sync, if you look at the top of your trade room where your volume icon is, there is a open folder, a file folder, and in that file folder is a program called D4 Time and Atomic Clock. And both of those are downloadable files that you can install, and they'll help to sync your computer. Atomic Clock is easier, probably easier to use than Dimension 4. It's more automatic. Oh, Mark, I didn't read your email yet. I just glanced at it. So I'm assuming what you were saying is the market just burst in one direction and kept going this morning. Yeah, gold and NQ. Now, when you're saying open, did you mean 9? You didn't mean, what time are you talking? What time were you talking? What time? I think Mark was trading earlier. Oh, you started gold at 8:20 at the gold open. And then what time do you start trading your NQ? Oh, right, 9:30, regular open. So I suppose if you're a very patient discretionary trader and you don't trade every day, you pick your opens. With markets like these, like they're hitting new highs for months and months and months, then you get 3 strong pullback days, right? Then you see in Globex that the market's really pushing up. That's a good day to try trading opens, right? After you have 3 days pulled back. Okay, here we go. Pops up, hits the first target. Perfect little trade. Perfect little trade. So look, you don't make a lot of money trading micro gold. We only made about $12, $15. But the point is, this is now a trade that has popped. It worked perfectly. The news was negative. Okay, news was negative, and you had a perfect little trade. So I don't want to spend time right now. We'll talk about it in a minute. I want to go right over to existing homes, because existing homes does have an authorized setup. Okay. So that was flash manufacturing PMI, and it's pretty awesome to be able to test live with very low risk using the smaller gold contract, MGC. So we're going to give a class soon. I'm waiting for volume and certain micros to start working better. And then we're going to do a class on micros, I believe. So we'll look at that in a minute. And I'm going to keep everything set up the way it is. So we've got existing homes, okay? Existing homes has had 3 trades. Let's look real quick. Last month's existing homes. And we did 2 tests. We did the trap trade on micro gold. And we did a test of a breakout on regular gold. The breakouts worked. Now you had negative existing home numbers. And gold appears to move in the right direction. Hits both your targets. The trap trade worked. You'll have to trust me on that. Let's look real quick. Existing homes in June. What I want to see is what does the breakout look like? Trap was on the left. Testing, I believe, the breakout on the right. You had positive numbers. You had gold moving in the right direction or in the expected direction. Going down. Trying to, not finding a follow through though. Not a gigantic, and then it does. Okay, it finds its legs a little bit late. Finds its legs a little bit late. So the one thing I would do, MGC will test the trap because existing homes is showing a good workable setup on the trap trade. Now, I have the newer version. If you're testing along with me, you probably might not have enough time to test the trade with me. We are going to have our next, we had a webinar last week. I have a webinar at Traders Corner this Saturday. And then the week after this, we will have a trap trade webinar. We're going to start having webinars every week. Some educational, some will be sales. We have to have a smattering of both. We have to survive. We have to do some sales. Next week, like if I get invited to Traders Corner, which they invite me a lot, it's a sales webinar. Our internal webinars, our next internal webinar will be 2 weeks from now. That'll be a trap trade webinar. Hopefully, I'll have the new version of the trap trade. I'm not sure. It's going to be close. It's going to be close. I have a lot of fixes and new features that I'm doing on the trap trade. But here's our setup using MGC, micro gold, on the trap. Again, existing homes has not been a solid enough report to call it family money. It's becoming what looks like it may be worth testing for real. This will be one more week of real testing on existing homes, but I'll test the trap trade live with micro gold because again, your risk is not monstrous. So let me get the right setup. Trap trade. Bracket center is price at the time. Average price bars is a default. Position size 2 is a 1. Wait for spike is a default. It's set to 5. Position size 1 is a 1. Make sure your stop loss says last fill price, not average price, last fill price. And then the stop is 17 ticks. The stop should actually be the last thing you enter in. My tiers are 10 and 16 on the trap trade. 10 and 16. Entries time stays at 10. And the actual time that the orders show up on the chart is actually 15 seconds before 10. Order prep activation is what that should be called. Order prep activation. Going to trade it real because it's a great test. And that's the trap trade setup. It's not complicated to set up a trap trade. Remember that your margin is double when you're doing a trap trade because the broker's assuming four orders, not two, because we're bracketing two orders, two tiers above price, and we're bracketing two tiers below price. And the broker counts that as double orders. Okay, 4 orders for margin. Now I want to do a quick DMM test on the right. Now MGC is live. Full-size gold is a test because existing homes, not a strong enough money maker that you want to risk roughly 200 and something dollars on it. When it starts to, you get really solid, good looking moves, then you're willing to do it. But the home reports have not been consistent in general, maybe in their whole history, okay? Maybe in their whole history. So this has a bracket of 6, do an exact DMM on it, targets of 3 and 7, small targets, 3 and 7. So the only thing, so what you have is position size 1 is a 3, the profit of 3. Position size 2 is a 1 also. That means you're 1 contract on each position, and you have a profit target of 7. The stop is 11. Entry time is 9:59:59. That's entry time, 9:59:59. Got to label it, right? Gold. Breakout. We'll call it break existing homes. So one more time, it's a bracket of 6. 1 position for 3 ticks, 1 position for 7 ticks, a stop of 11. Now, one reason that we've been thinking that the home sale trades have been working better lately is because of their relationship to inflation. So the setup, you can do 1 tier on the trap trade. Let me see if I can remember how to do it. I worked on it the other day. So if you want to do 1 tier on the trap trade, okay, what you want to do is make position size 1, and do me a favor, don't do it live today, make sure I'm right. Position size 2, position size 2 will hold a 0. So you make position size 1 and tier 1, that'll be your target. Tier 2, we're getting this fixed. It always puts a number in, but as long as position size is 0, it will ignore any number that's in tier 2. So if you want to trade just one tier, put the setup you want to use in 1. So in other words, position size 1 will be 1 contract. That'll be 1 tier. The stop is 17. And then your tier value, I was using a value of 10 and 16. If you're trading just one tier, normally I would look for the outer tier. All right. I'm not usually looking for that first tier to fill. I'm usually looking for the further away tier to fill. Okay. Now I'm trading 2 tiers. So I've got 1 for 10 ticks and 1 for 16. I have a stop at 17. So if you want to trade one tier, the values you put into position 1 and tier 1 will be the values that are used on the trade. And as long as position 2 is a 0, then the number that shows up in tier 2 will be 0. That's being fixed in the software. It should not show a number if you choose not to use that tier. So we'll get that fixed. So existing home sales. I was wrong about home sales last month. I've been thinking home sales are on fire, but inventory is a problem. So that's been a big issue with home sales, inventory. So we're looking at a breakout trade on the right, which is a test. Okay. And then the trap trade is live. So the concept with the trap trade is I'm expecting gold to move on the news and then change direction. And it's been doing that throughout at least 2 or 3 recent trap trade tests on existing homes. So the idea is if price goes up and it hits your tier, it puts you in the market short. If price goes down and hits your tier, it puts you in the market long. It's a reverse direction trade. So 15 seconds before the report, my trap trade orders are going to show up. It's the history of the trap trade. If you got to watch the videos that are on the member website. The history of the trap trade is we used to put our orders on way earlier. We used to put our orders on 40 seconds early before the news. So now the news is out. The breakout filled us to the upside. Is there a follow through? You have, in my opinion, not really the right direction according to the news. Okay. Normally, if the news is positive, gold heads to the upside. And it did pop up initially. Okay. No fill yet on the trap trade. And it looks like it would have been a potential stop on the breakout, which it is. So the breakout, I'll cancel now. The trap trade, the history of the trap is it fills pretty slowly. Fills pretty slowly. You know, after a minute, my notes say that existing homes really took its time to fill. One of the issues today is you have such a huge trend in gold that, you know, an index can actually get tired. It can get tired. And existing homes, it's not that gigantic a report. So we're a minute and a half, no fill. It's not even that big a tier. It's only 10 ticks, right? You've got a lot of chopping around. It's a little bit long for me. It's almost 2 minutes to a fill. I would cancel. And I just get the opportunity. Cancel by hitting close. Because now you're sort of not trading the news anymore. We're 2 minutes past. 2 minutes past the news. It missed the fill by 1 tick. Okay. That did not fill. It missed the fill by 1 tick. But when you're 2 minutes past the news, it's sort of not a news trade anymore. So I'm not dying to, you know, to just throw money at the market for a random reason. It becomes much more random. Okay. It wouldn't be surprising to get a pullback in gold in a singular direction because of there had been such a large trend to the upside. It's not a gigantic news offset in existing homes. I mean, the news is better than expected. But gold, if you watch, I mean, it's really been chopping around for 2.5 minutes. It didn't break our 10 tick entry. Now, right there, it would have filled us. Okay, right there, it would have filled us 3 minutes after the report. Not acceptable. Okay, you don't want to leave a trade on for 3 minutes and not get filled, because again, you're not necessarily trading the news anymore. Okay, so the breakout failed. Let's look at the video. The breakout would have failed. And again, you're looking at a historically inconsistent report. That's why I wasn't dying to put real money on it, other than the trap trade, which the opportunity for a reversal is greater than a steady move in one direction on this report. So here you would have been filled, and it would have, if you were willing to stay in for 3 minutes. Let's look at the video of what happened on the breakout and see why the breakout did not work. Hang on 1 second. So here's the video. Give me 1 second. So if you look, you know, you did have a fill to the upside on the trap trade, but it was after 3 minutes, so it's not acceptable. I call that a no fill. It's not a trade, you know, when you have 3 minutes. Just too long. 2 minutes is probably my outside that I would wait for a fill. So here's existing homes this morning. Watch the right side, because that's our breakout test. That's the official trading method. And I think that I would go to the trap trade on existing homes because it seems to be safer and better. It's worked. Today, it was the first time it didn't work in a while. The breakout on existing homes is inconsistent, in my opinion. So you could see it jerked up when the news was released. And it almost hits the first target. Now, it's pretty pathetic if you think about it. Our target was only 3 ticks. 3 ticks. And in sim, there's no slippage. So even without slippage, it couldn't get 3 ticks. And then it just drops down, which might have been the better way because the news was positive. Now, I don't think you want to have a bigger bracket on this trade because you're going to give up all your profit. It's a small moving report, right? So some reports, if you increase your bracket, you're just not going to have a trade of any import or impact because it's not a big mover to begin with. So you could see I would not have wanted to lose $240 on a report like that, an inconsistent report. That's why I chose, when I made the schedule, not to trade this live. However, I was willing to try it live with a micro mini gold because the risk is extremely small and it's a good test. It's a good test. Okay, any questions, folks? So I was supposed to have a trade room this evening at 6:15, and I can't do that trade room this evening. It's New Zealand. It was a test anyway. It was not, certainly I wouldn't cancel a family money trade. It was really a test trade room. So we'll be back tomorrow. I'll show you the schedule real quick. We are in the doldrums of summer, folks. You want to trade very carefully this time of year. Looking at last night, just looking at last night's trade, the German trade, the French trade, they're traditionally pretty strong movers. The dregs of August, and they really moved very small, very small. And it's partly, I did check liquidity last night. Liquidity was good on the euro. Those are euro trades. Those are trades that if I was awake at that time of day, if I lived overseas or I just was a person who stayed up late at night, the French and the German flash services, those are trades I would consider trading them. They're looking pretty good. But the point is, they were slow impact last night. The French it was also mixed news, Jeff. Yeah, that's all you could get last night was about 4 ticks. We traded. I got up last night. My boss traded live. Let me show you his video. He traded. This is the German trade. Look at his brackets are like gigantic. He moved his chart also. He doesn't realize he moved his chart, but you could still see everything. So, but you could see it was a very quiet move. Got a little burst down, which gave him his profit. A little bit of a burst down. That gave him his profit. See right there. So unfortunately, his trade was like his brackets were so big, you couldn't tell what was going on almost on his charts. But then you could see it burst down and it hit his target. But he used the combine button, so it was only trading for one very small target because there wasn't much movement. But that German and the French, they are tradable reports. They are tradable reports. And it almost looks like it doesn't almost look like it looks like that flash manufacturing report might be worth trading. It's got better movement than existing homes. Better movement than existing homes. Let's look at the movement on that 9:45 trade before we leave. We traded micro gold on it. Micro gold's a very good, MGC is a good index to test live a lot of our gold trades. And that's a very normal, good-looking news trade, okay? That's the way you want to see an index move. And look at the beautiful 3 negatives in a row on every bit of news. Gold moved in the upside. It was like a little perfect little trade. It was a perfect little trade. In the old days, years ago, we used to call that a bread and butter trade. Bread and butter. Like if a trade hits its entry time, fills you, hits the targets, and it's over in a flash. We used to call that a bread and butter trade because the trade fed you. That was our reason for calling it that. And see, now what I really think is going on is you're just getting a pullback in gold because it was up over 200 ticks, over $20. Okay. Yeah, Jeff, it seems like you got the same as us. That's all that was available. That's all that the German trade gave us in availability. So thanks on YouTube for watching. We're done for today. We'll be back tomorrow. I was going to look at the schedule. Let's see what's going on tomorrow. Not a very busy week. Not dead. There's a couple of interesting things in the schedule. I'll tell you what I'm most interested in. So it's my son's birthday today. I should not have scheduled that New Zealand trade room. My mistake. I didn't realize I was going to take him out to dinner. So I do apologize for that. New homes, interested probably in a micro gold trade on that. API. And then there's a couple of interesting things. You know, core durable goods used to be a really good trade. I think the market's going to watch it pretty seriously. But the most interesting trade of the week to me is preliminary GDP. I wish they wouldn't put it together with unemployment because I might have called it a family money trade. But remember what happened to us on the last GDP? It was a very bad family money trade. It was one of our only really bad family money trades. You know, we've had over 50, I think we've had over 55 family money trades. And there's been very few what I would call, quote unquote, a bad trade. You know, a trade that was a quick loser. The family money trades have really been doing well. But preliminary GDP, because it's trading with unemployment claims, it just adds a level of risk that takes the family out of it. And then natural gas, the enigma, the summer's great enigma, 7-year note, and then sort of a test trade Friday morning, a report that we thought was working. It failed us last month, so we'll keep watching it. It's definitely a report that has gained influence, income, personal income and spending. The market definitely looks at that more than it used to. So tomorrow we'll be here at 9:30 for new home sales. And if there's no questions, I'll say have a good day, everybody. I'll see everybody. Thanks on YouTube one more time. Thank you. And I'll see everybody tomorrow at 9:30 for the 10 o'clock new home sales. Okay? All right, folks. I'll see everybody later. Take care.